So strategic competition with China is one of the defining issues, obviously, of this Congress. And now more than ever, we must be focused on understanding and responding. I thank each of you for showing up, and it's my sincere hope that the Congress and the administration can work together to fulfill the mission for the sake of the American people. Unfortunately, a number of the policies of this administration have only emboldened the leadership of CCP, and I think Speaker McCarthy was correct when he said the danger posed by our dependence on China is dire. We could go on and on about China's growing hold on the U.S. from supply chains and economic dependency, fentanyl, but what we need is a course correction. However, today I want to consider one of the very real threats China poses to some of our allies and friends, specifically those in the Indo-Pacific region, the Pacific Island nations. The U.S. relationship with the Pacific Islands was forged 80 years ago when millions of Americans left their homes to fight for freedom on the beaches of Tarawa and Peleliu and in the jungles of Guadalcanal and Bougainville. Over 100,000 Americans sacrificed their lives, and after the war, we mostly withdrew from the region. There was still some U.S. presence. I actually had the privilege of serving in the Pacific Islands as an Army surgeon, and I've provided care in many of those nations. Meeting those people under those conditions, you get to know them, and these are really good people. Largely, there's been a posture of neglect. The people we fought alongside have and helped liberate, we've forgotten them. Well, let's recall, we needed access to those islands when we wanted to take the war to Japan, and now they're under attack again. The poster, do we have our poster? Good. The poster just gone up on the screen behind me illustrates how the CCP has infiltrated our friends in the Pacific Island nations. The countries in red recognize Beijing. Countries in green recognize Taiwan. There used to be a lot more green. If a country recognizes Taiwan, that means it doesn't have a Chinese embassy there. As you likely know, these embassies act as hubs and incubators for malign activities. That's why we closed our Houston consulate in 2020. The CCP is counting on the U.S. to remain passive in these countries so that they can take over. The islands are just as valuable strategically to China as they were to Imperial Japan. The CCP is launching a new kind of attack, mostly on the political warfare front, but the effects on the ground are very, very real, and they include economic dependency and social destruction. This is China's greater new wall, Greater Wall of China. We're obligated to remember our bonds with the good people of the Pacific Islands, to rebuild these bonds, and to work with them to defeat the attack on their freedoms and, quite frankly, our strategic interests. Secretary Crittenbrink, the then president of the Federated States of Micronesia, David Panuelo, released 3 letters over the last 2 years that laid out in detail the PRC's comprehensive and pernicious political warfare against the Federated States of Micronesia and other islands as well. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter those letters into the record. Mike? Okay. Thank you. The letters, by the way, the title of the article that accompanies the letters is Micronesia's President Writes Bombshell Letter on China's Political Warfare, authored by Cleo Pascal and the Diplomat. So his letters were a cry for help from us. In his March 23 letter, President Panuelo wrote, as a result of aggressive political warfare on his country by Beijing, he was in well-advanced negotiations with Taipei to switch his country's recognition back to Taiwan. This would have been a huge win for the free world and the people of Micronesia, but it didn't happen. Can you explain to me what the State Department did to assist the Federated States of Micronesia, Taipei negotiations at that time?
Congressman, I don't know if I can respond specifically to what happened right at that time, but what I can say is absolutely agree with you about the centrality of our partnerships with our Pacific Island friends. Under this administration, we have dramatically stepped up our game. Thanks to support from Congress, we're expanding our diplomatic footprint in the region. We've opened new embassies in the Solomon Islands and Tonga. We are working on opening
My
embassies.
time, unfortunately, has expired. I will submit other questions for the record. Thank you. I yield back.